Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. That's right, the Run It Back podcast back in your bloody ears this fortnight. Episode number 57. That's 5 plus 7 equals 12, boys. Snags got his maths on right tonight. Settle down. Out of the gate pretty hard. Not episode 12, though. That was a long, long time ago. Back in the land of pre-COVID, I would say. But boys, welcome. Glad to have you all. Thanks for attending, for one, but more so, thanks for inviting us. Producer DL. Some big weeks on the potty this week, so talk to me, baby. What's going down?
Snags, I'm good. Boys are coming off a pretty good weekend of fights, actually. And if you followed the tips of the producer, Snags, that's me, you would have done pretty well for yourself. Just a little
first time for everything.
Little quiet insight, despite the subtle digs that I got. Listening back to the podcast, I noticed that Frank, not Dylan, probably scooped me up probably about 3 or 4 times during that podcast, picking on my tips. He was ripping me on, who was it? The Parker Porter pick? Mate, that's where your producer got it done. So straighten up, Frank. Boys, this week are running into a little bit of an Ultimate Fighter theme. We've got tips for the Ultimate Fighter finals, which are this weekend. We also dive into a bit of a TUF G.O.A.T bracket style tournament for this week at NEDS. So you're going to get a little insight of the first round of that, and then you'll have to dive into the article on NEDS to get the rest. But before we jump into the podcast, I got the man back in the studio. Stoney, big week for you, mate.
Mate, doing real good. You boys were on fire. I was telling this to DL pre-podcast that I love listening back to potties where I'm not actually on them for the sheer reason I don't know when the lols are coming. So I listened to that, and that was outstanding. Frank, not Dylan, big shoes to fill, but he took it on the challenge. He performed pretty well, DL.
He did.
A few little cheeky digs coming my way as well about potentially paying for tips. Didn't really love that. But all is forgiven because if I'm not mistaken, he actually extended an arm and said he'd offer to help train me against Sugar Snags.
He did.
So it's not like I'm going to hold a grudge, but needless to say, anyone who knows anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu knows that I need no help whatsoever, DL.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Thanks, but no thanks.
He'll pass.
Hey, you can keep extending that arm. Snags will snap that bad boy up pretty quick when we're on the mat, that's for sure. And then I'll break it into 3. But anyway, talking about breaking things, Statman. You've broken the leaderboard, still in. I won't break the news of what place or 4th you're in, but anyway, how are we?
Mate, I'm doing okay. Looking at the leaderboard this morning, I was shocked and appalled to see that I had been marked down a point, and then I realised that literally everyone had been marked down at least 1 point because DL had forgotten to add a specific fight on there. So I was like, boys, I'm in this. I get an extra point, and then I looked around. Not only did you and DL get an extra point, but Stoney ended up picking up an extra 2 points, which meant that I just ended up back in last place again. So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine,
guys. It's fine.
It's fine.
Well, boys, before we get too far into the podcast, we need to thank our sponsors, Humble Fightwear. Boys, Humble Fightwear is an Australian jiu-jitsu brand that celebrates one of the most important parts of martial arts, becoming humble. Snags.
Look, boys, that's right. About as humble as a small honey badger after it wins a fight against a deer. And I would say that is pretty humble in my... Honey badgers are pretty hectic. And if you wear
Do
this
they go deer?
Deer, yeah. Honey badger versus a deer.
Cobras don't. Do they go deer? Jeez,
mate,
that's
they go
crazy.
whatever they want when they wear humble gear, mate, because they're feeling fucking ready to roll. Where can we get them, boys?
Oh, you head to their Instagram page, give them a follow, or head to www.humblefightwear.com.au and help them spread good vibes one purchase at a time.
And for being amazing Run It Back listeners, the team at Humble Fightwear are giving you 15% off your entire order. Snags, how do they get that done?
That's right. You send them a Morse code message via old school Morse code as you go and check out. That's right. RIB15 at checkout. Send it in Morse code. Tell the boys sent you. Get after it.
Boys, perfect. Let's start this podcast off with a few...
Can we just take just a quick break? I just want to jump onto YouTube and check out honey badger videos because fucking taking down deer, the size differential is incredible.
You put on a humble rashy, bro. You're going to take down fucking anything.
Can we get that as a design on... You're going to have to cut this now.
You'll see Stoney rock up to the grappling match and it'll look like he's put on 40 kilos, but he's just got 48 humble rashes on. Makes him look huge.
I just want like a badger with like a gi on, like as an image
like
now.
With deer antlers in its mouth.
Fucking yeah.
RIB mascot we're building right here.
Yeah, there you
Absolutely.
go.
It's a honey badger.
A honey badger in a gi. I love that.
I reckon if we had a mascot, it would be a llama. A llama and a gi.
You know that he didn't put it on himself. The llama didn't put it on
Maybe
himself.
we should do that on the gi. Oh, shit. Anyway, proceed.
I'm so sorry.
I'm watching.
Is there one of the
Live
hundred?
footage. Turns out a badger does beat a deer, Statman. I'm as amazed as you, but the deer fled. So points to the badger.
No, honey badgers don't give a fuck. But like, I never knew they went deer. I know that they fight
go.
cobras.
Nature
I've
is
never
mental.
heard of them.
What is it? Nature is mental on the potty boys. There you go.
Yeah, mate. Nature's nuts.
I thought
the
I'd
word. Who-
accidentally hit some sort of button, and then all was a Stoney looking up Badger versus deer videos.
I had to get to the bottom of this,
Oh,
DL.
yeah, it makes sense. It makes
Who
sense.
knows? Snags would spread some truth on this podcast for once.
No,
eh?
that's bizarre, but
The world's longest humble ad read. Boys, let's get some more laughs with Would Snags Lie?
Oh yeah, this feels good. I love this, man. It feels like Pink Panther music. Let's get me going. So last
is
week,
Pink
boys, we had the
Panther
first episode of Would Snags Lie. It is the Pink. Is this Pink Panther music? It is, isn't it?
Played it last week.
I forgot what it was. It was
sounds like
last
the Big Panther
fortnight.
music. Is it fucking
It
is?
really sounds like it.
We're trying to not get you done for copyright again, mate. You've already got done once. You know?
when it started last week, Snags goes, "Ooh, the lie detector." Kept on going.
Boys, you know, we'll just keep going. I'm trying to get DL from not getting put in jail, and look what he does to us.
that's
Right back in my face. How funny. Anyway, boys, last week was a bloody hit. We had Wood Snags Lie. We had, who got a point last week? Frank, not Dylan, and, Statman got a point.
Statman.
So, boys, we're going into the world of, again, Wood Snags Lie. So we've got two stories for you today, as per usual. That's what the segment is, isn't it? The first story, just think about a young Snags, roughly around... I think I was about 80 years old when this happened. I used to live in the Canterbury Bankstown district. For those NRL followers, Canterbury Bulldogs were the local team that I used to play in the comp. Like in Sydney, they have like comps that are kind of connected to NRL teams. One day we went to the Revesby Workers Club, which is in the district, and they had a thing where you could go and you do like, it's a function thing, went with a family, and you'd buy tickets to be able to throw the ball through one of those things with the holes. And then so there was 3 people that got picked, and then whoever won it got a trip overseas to watch the World Cup that year. And then there were some other prizes, and you'd get to pass the ball with back then ARL player. Snags, tender age of 8 or 9, I forget what age it was to be honest, but Snags got picked out facing against 2 bloody grown men, and I got paired up with the great Terry Lamb.
Oh, champion.
Champion.
My mum would
And then,
lose her mind hearing this story. She's a
Oh,
big
it was
Lamb
good.
fan.
And
She
then,
loved the Lamb.
unfortunately for young Snags, even though I played hooker growing up, threw a couple straight through the hole. Terry Lamb actually only got 1 or 2 through the hole, and I ended up coming second. So I got a season ticket to the Bulldogs and a signed jersey. Not the trip overseas with the father to the World Cup, but nevertheless, we had some good times on the hill at Belmore. So it was a pretty good win. Second one for Snags. You boys probably seen me do it a couple of times, but Snags doesn't mind a flutter on the pokies. Okay? And one time Snags was out. Might have been around his Bucks party. Might not have been, but it was. And he had $5 left to his name, cash in the bank. Decided to put it on none other than Where's the Gold? $5 hit straight into a feature. Snags takes home, not a huge feature, boys, but Snags takes home about $750 off a Findo. If you boys haven't played before, you know Findo's the dog. You only pick Findo when you play Where's the Gold. Had the Bucks party up and about, and then Snags shouted the bar for the rest of the night, and that $750 went pretty quick. That's the stories for Snags. Anyone got any questions to get to the bottom of it?
Neither that impressive, are they, DL?
Oh, no, I was expecting a little bit more.
Who were the other players? Who were the other players that other people got?
We had, what was his name? Pulamauta?
Yep, Craig Pulamauta. Yep.
Craig Pulamauta. And there was a winger that I can't remember his name. He was like a second
Al
string
Masri?
winger. No, I don't think he was playing when Terry Lamb was playing.
No, he wouldn't have been.
No, I forget the winger's name, but he was like you didn't want the winger on the team. Pulamauta won it.
Can I just qualify that? I didn't mean to throw shade by saying they're not that impressive. What I meant was normally there's an obvious giveaway that one sounds too good to be true, whereas these sound very much in Snags' wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant, mate.
Yeah.
Same with last week was very similar, both in my
Yeah,
wheelhouse.
he's done well here. World Cup. Let me just talk about this World Cup. Where was the World Cup that year?
It was in England that year. So you got an international, you would have went to England. All flights paid for in hotels, 2 people. So I would have taken, obviously my dad would have taken me, not me take him.
Yep.
And you would have went for, I think it was like a week and a half or something like that, however long the cup ran for.
Sorry, how old were you then?
I was about 8 or 9.
Okay.
I was still a young tacker.
Yep.
What was the selection process? How did you get selected? Because
it's like a
that's a
raffle.
pretty big prize. Okay,
Raffle.
right.
You buy a
Raffle.
ticket and then you chuck it in.
It's a pretty huge prize.
When were you born, Snags?
88.
What was the street that you grew up on? What's your mother's maiden name? First pet's name, please.
I was about to
What's
give you all
the-
that. I can do the street one. I can do the street one because I know I haven't picked that as a security question anyway, but it was Hinamoa Street in Panania. Great little spot, not far from the primary school.
All right, let's go to the bar story. Because that's
Pokies.
Where's the gold? Your typical?
Oh, mate.
Yeah, was it your local?
Stop it. Was it at local? It was in
Yep.
Port Macquarie.
Port
We done my Bucks buddy was a bus trip and we did a pub crawl through the whole day. We did skirmish in the morning, pub crawl in the afternoon.
Thoughts, boys?
And so you shouted everyone on your own Bucks party.
Well, after I won, yeah.
Oh, I
You boys
believe
know-
that.
You boys know I'm like with
Actually, yeah, that's actually completely believable. Snags past 11 is the most generous human being in the world.
Like, Snags when he wakes up.
Couple stories there, man.
We'll leave those for another day.
Look, DL, I'm thinking the Pokey story, just because, and it may be that Snags' memory is a little hazy, but the years he's given me are a little bit off. They don't quite match up with when England hosted the World Cup. So on that basis, and it could be human error on Snags' behalf, wouldn't put it past him, but I'm going the Pokey story. Seems a lot more palatable.
Cool.
So you're saying the
Pokey
Pokey story's true?
Yes.
All right, cool.
As true as a story from Snags could be, DL.
I'm in two completely different minds because my thinking is the football one is filled with detail.
Yeah,
like
it was.
absolutely chock full of detail.
Yep.
Now we did run into this last week where I thought that Snags was maybe trying to pull a tricky one on us by showering one with detail, unnecessary detail, and that ended up being his false one. But I have to wonder, it does definitely feel like a story that is like enshrined in a young Snags' head.
Yeah.
Young Snags.
And he could have got he could have got like some details wrong, but I'm thinking like the amount of detail, I can see this as like a foundational memory for Snags. So I'm going to say that the Canterbury Bankstown story is true.
Yeah, got 1 for 1 here. DL, you going to wrap it up?
Yeah, I liked the way there was no hesitation, and I think last week when we thought that there was a fraction of hesitation. He was confident. I like the little memory around trying to win a trip for his old man. I thought that was touching. So I reckon he's tried to pull on the heartstrings of the boys here. And I'm going to do a backflip and I'm going to go with Stoney's. And we're going to go with the Pokies.
That's how Statman picks his picks, boys. Unfortunately, Statman gets the win again this week. It was the footy story.
I'm a Snags lie detector now.
Mate, he got me when he started going. Last week he tried to throw me by doing detail on one. I thought this week I'd get him by going real brushed on the other one.
Mate,
So you
no,
had
I
to
know
do a
you.
T.
I've got laser focused in now.
Yeah, boys. So that
Kudos
was
to you,
Snag's story.
Statman.
Young Snags trying to win a trip overseas, and they even moved me forward a bit. But it was still a bit challenging to kind of get the win with such a poor passer in Terry Lamb.
Can I just ask, like, if I was an adult there, right, and if I was like one of the other two competitors, right,
Yeah.
and the prize was a trip to England, I would 100% be calling foul on moving the child closer. I would be 1,000% being like, nah, fuck that, mate. He won the raffle. Get his dad in here if he's gonna move it closer. This bullshit.
No one
would-
called
I would
anyone.
kick
Not
up
that I
stick.
can remember anyway. Maybe Terry Lamb threw it, mate. Who knows?
How many competitions have you been kicked out of, Statman, just by your sheer competitiveness?
I
Only
ruined
trivia nights.
friendly game nights, man.
On that same note, do you think you would have benefited if they had lifted you up closer to the basketball ring?
I would have, but I would have expected some complaints from the other team.
No, well done, Statman. At least you can pick winners at something, DL. So
He's done
this
well.
is your time, Statman.
Oh, yeah, and that's the perfect segue from Stoney. This is why we like him back on the potty. We're going to jump into results and leaderboard update. What a card, lads. Gives me great pleasure to run through our episode 57 leaderboard. But Statman, let's just catch up on them results first, please.
So we picked 4 fights for the bout. So Alejandro Pantoja defeated Brandon Royval by submission in the second round. Parker Porter defeated Chase Sherman by decision. Mark Madsen defeated Clay Guida by split decision. And Jared Cannonier defeated Kelvin Gastelum by decision.
Boys, and that leaves our leaderboard as Statman finished with 3 on the night and 4th position. Snags also finished with a 3 and finishes in 3rd position on 6.
Didn't I get 4? Oh, I got 3.
Come on.
I got 3. No biggie. Proceed.
Stoney went from 2 to 4 in half an hour today, which is really cool. And he finishes in 2nd spot at number 2. What does that leave, boys?
Oh, look at him trying to call himself out here.
For the first time, not the very first time, but the first time I can actually play my walkout song.
I was going to say, does DL even have a walkout song?
I've got one. I've got one. Just get a moment, boys, because
What is it?
It's heavy, it's spiritual. Come, boys, let's go. Oh, boys. A little bit longer just to me, a bit of self-indulgence there.
Now, true or false, you've actually choreographed a walkout to that song.
I have actually a walkout to that song, yeah. I think I've actually done it over a few beers one night.
You have, yeah, you absolutely have.
I've done it for Stoney. One day, boys, one day. Only thing I'll say, guys, and look, I'm very aware that this could be short-term win. Understand the way I do my picks is really hard to sustain a win because I'm a very... I tip from the heart, boys, so it makes it a little bit challenging. So allow me to be humble and say, let's fucking go. Get around the producer. New era, boys.
I knew the producer.
Let's go.
When was the last time you led? Was that when in the Snags era?
No, very, very early. Yeah, very early.
Very good.
Early days. Anyway, boys, thanks for having me. And
well done. I like the speech as well, because typically whenever I take my brief lead at some point towards the tail end of each season, I'm in a big, yeah, fuck yous, this is my rightful place, and then the next week I'm back in 3rd again. So it's fair. So yeah, you've taken the right approach.
Yeah, it was fun. Oh, we'll see if it goes. We've got some good picks coming up, so you never know. I might be able to continue.
I like how you prefaced your potential loss coming up.
I was trying to be humble, mate.
Okay?
I was trying to be humble. Statman went on about
anything happens, I pick from the heart.
Statman just talked about being humble, so we'll do it. So.
Oh, mate, loved it. Loved it.
Accurate.
Anyway, boys, I think it's a perfect time to run into this week on NEDS. NEDS is the official betting partner of the UFC in Australia. You can catch our weekly blog at neds.com.au or via our website, runitbackpodcast.store. And RIB and NEDS just want to remind you, is gambling a problem for you? Call Gambling Help on 1800 858 858 or visit www.gamblinghelponline.org.au, and always remember to gamble responsibly. Bit of a tough theme this week. We thought we'd do something a little bit different. Statman, we're looking at the TUF G.O.A.T.
Yeah, so what I've done is I've gone through every winner of the Ultimate Fighter, and obviously we're going to crown 2 more after this weekend's card. So I wanted to have a look at the fighters who have made the most impact so far, and we've got 16 of them. So in typical TUF fashion, what I thought we'd do is pit them against each other in a tournament of 16. 8 matches we will discuss on the podcast, and then the quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand finals discuss in the blog post. So pretty excited for these because there's some killer matchups coming up. What I've done as far as seeding has gone, to the best of my ability, has gone the earliest TUFs against the newest TUFs. So the further ago they were, the higher their seed was, essentially. So without much further ado, you boys ready to discuss some matchups?
Let's go.
Let's bloody roll.
Perfect. So in the first matchup of our top 16, we have the winner of the Ultimate Fighter 1, Diego Sanchez, going up against the winner of TUF Latin America, Yair Rodriguez. And boys, I'm going to start it off with my pick being possibly a somewhat controversial one, and going with Yair Rodriguez. I think that potential upside for Yair Rodriguez, depending on the next year or 2 of his career, could see him overtaking the career accomplishments of Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez, multiple Fight of the Year candidates, and a lightweight title challenger against BJ Penn, but for the most part hasn't looked particularly threatening for I'd say about 50% of his UFC run. Whereas Yair Rodriguez has multiple knockout of the year candidates. His fighting style is incredible. And I do see that if he can get some consistency as far as fights going in the next 2 years, title challenger, potential champion in his future. DL, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts on this is the problem with some of my MMA knowledge is quite recent. I could look back at this detail and I could probably find something different, but then I look at Diego Sanchez as something that currently I'm looking at, and it's an absolute fucking mess. So
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
It's an absolute mess. And look, for me, probably coming into this sport a little bit later than others, to me, that's recency bias. And I think I'm going to push through Yair.
Yeah, I think what started out as controversial take, Statman's going to be the consensus pick. So Diego Sanchez, obviously he burst onto the scene. He had some good wins. I recall his highlights come on the TUF finale. So he beat Kenny Florian in TUF 1, and then in the TUF finale, TUF 2, he beat Nick Diaz. And I would go on record as saying they would be up there alongside. The only other one I can really recall is Clay Guida. They're probably his three best wins. Maybe I'm missing one or two there. For all that Diego Sanchez is, and he's a fantastic personality, there's a lot of aura about this mystique. He's actually, I don't think, that good, Statman. Whereas Rodriguez, as you say, I think he's got an abundance of talent. And if I'm looking at who's going to reach a higher ceiling in their career, then it's Rodriguez all the way for Stoney.
Oh, Disney. Well, Snags is going to go the opposite of the boys. I'm going Sanchez, just purely on star power and who the fans want to see, and they'd want to see him progress to round 2, baby.
It's 3-1.
Just really quickly, boys, we're not doing a tool of the week this week, but it's a good segue into it. At Kelly, hashtag 100% full-on Amanda would beat Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah. I've seen that. I've seen that Kayla Harrison as well about her beating welterweights. I'm just like,
so 100% Amanda. Rob Font, Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munez, Dom Cruz, Marlon Vera, Rodriguez, and Dan Ige. Amanda Nunes would not stand a chance against any single one of them, as great as she is. And DL, if you disagree, get out, and I'll just
I'm not disagreeing.
Produce the rest of this potty.
I'm not disagreeing.
That's so funny.
3-1, Statman. Progressing.
Perfect. Yair goes through to the next round. So the next one, we've got the Ultimate Fighter Season 8 winner, Ryan Bader, against the Ultimate Fighter Season 10 winner, Roy Nelson. And this one's an interesting one because neither of them have quite achieved the heights of other people in this tournament bracket. I think that the closest that Ryan Bader has come to gold was UFC 126, where he faced off against John Bones Jones just before Bones fought Shogun Rua for the title. In saying that, Ryan Bader, incredible career. Despite losing to Tito Ortiz off the back of a 6 or 7 fight losing streak, still comes through with the power, the wrestling, the overhand right. He is responsible for one of the most brutal takedowns of the UFC in Australian media that I've ever read after his decimation of Anthony the Hippo Perosh, because the article was like, how is this humane? How can you allow one man to beat another man so badly? And I was like, yeah, he really kicked his ass. For those reasons, and the fact that I just genuinely like the power and wrestling ability that Ryan Bader brings, I'm going with Ryan Bader in this one. DL?
Yeah, I'm actually moving Ryan Bader to round 2 as well. I think both fighters moved into Bellator after letting go of their UFC contract.
Yes.
Yep. And Ryan Bader, Bellator champion.
Yep. He's had a very, very successful post UFC career. He would have had a successful UFC career had he stayed with the UFC.
Yeah.
It's just that he thought that the bigger paychecks and potentially the easier fights were in Bellator. So.
And that looks like it paid off for him. So I think I might move Ryan Bader into round 2 for me.
No, I'm with you, DL. Even in his UFC career, had a few, I guess, good highlights. He took out Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans. Then, as we said, went over to Bellator, albeit past his prime, got the TK over Fedor, which not many people can attest to. So I think that holds him in great standing. And then his most recent one, dusting off Lyoto Machida. So as good as Roy Nelson was and as entertaining as he was as a character and as a persona, it's Ryan Bader all the way for me too.
Tids, was there a DC... Were Ryan Bader and DC going to line up? Was that ever a fight that was going to happen? I thought I read something when I was doing some research today.
Potentially could have, Statman. I can't recall
I know
the fight,
that
but
Bader
it could
went
have.
off it. Ryan Bader like kind of challenged Daniel Cormier, but I don't think it ever came to a fight or a fruition. So
Of what?
Fruition.
fruition. You're right. You're right.
Jesus
Get it
Christ, on
right,
that
Snap,
fruition,
man.
I'm going to take
Jesus.
Roy Nelson because he probably doesn't like the fruit, but Snags loves him. That's it, boys. Another 3-1. I'm going to take everyone you boys don't take just for fun.
There you go. So a little bit of a fact check there. Ryan Bader was meant to fight DC. John Jones pulled out of the Anthony Rumble Johnson fight. DC was pulled from the Ryan Bader fight to fight Anthony Rumble Johnson. 3-1. Ryan Bader goes through. Next up, we have the Ultimate Fighter Season 5 winner Nate Diaz going up against the Ultimate Fighter Live or TUF 15 winner Michael Chiesa. And this is an interesting one because Michael Chiesa has had a career resurgence of late. Obviously, most recent fight notwithstanding, but welterweight seems to be a very, very natural home for Chiesa, in saying that I do not think that you can go past Nate Diaz here. Nate Diaz's career highlights are incredible. His style of fights, his submission game, the entertainment factor of Nate Diaz. He challenged for the lightweight belt against Benson Henderson, and he's put on, obviously, 2 incredible fights with Conor McGregor, potentially a third one in the near future. And he's a money fight. He has genuinely turned himself by knowing his worth and being willing to sit out and wait for fights. He has proven his worth time and time again. And Nate Diaz gets the vote for me here.
It's weird when you start talking about a fighter and you ignore their record altogether.
Yeah.
It's Nate Diaz. We're talking a 20-13 fighter, which is amazing. 20-13 is amazing. But when you start talking about the stature of Nate Diaz and you talk about, hey, that man's got 13 losses on his record and he's the money fight. He's the absolute money fight. So it's an easy one for me. Nate Diaz straight through to round 2.
Absolutely. This is going to be the first clean sweep because Snags ain't going the other way. But Michael Chiesa, I don't get why people like him. I just never have. I still think the most memorable moment was when he called out Kevin Lee and said, "Don't talk about my mum." And then Kevin Lee sparked him on the stage, and then ended up sparking him a few weeks later in the fight. And he's just never bounced back in my respect, in my book. So everyone can like Michael Chiesa, but it's Nate Diaz all day, every day in this one.
Boys, I am a Nate Diaz fan, but I'm going to go Nate Diaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stoney called it.
Yeah, that's
Ready
an
like the
easy
book.
clean sweep for the boys there. Something interesting you said there, DL, about like the record being respected and stuff like that. I think you find that that's a much more common thing in Japan and Japanese promotions as well, where Nick Diaz kind of cut his teeth, where the record matters less than the performance you put on or the showmanship, whereas American and European mixed martial arts and boxing are obsessed with that zero. They're obsessed with that undefeated record, or they're obsessed with that winning streak, whereas to the Japanese crowd or the Japanese fans, they don't give a shit as long as you're an entertaining fighter with a bit of a story, or you are 470-pound sumo wrestler and you're fighting some random dude off the street. They just want to be entertained in the most pure form, whereas Nate Diaz is kind of like a callback to those fighters where no one gives a shit that he's lost 13 times. They will tune in to watch Nate Diaz fight because he's Nate Diaz, and it's an awesome thing. It's great.
DL, this is why people love Run It Back, because you've got the history side from Statman, world culture, and then you've got When Animals Collide with Snags.
Hey, I'm telling you what, we're giving the people what they bloody want.
This. If I wasn't on this podcast, this is my dream. This is my dream podcast because I want to fucking hear more about these honey badgers, man. They sound nasty. I like
I
it.
remember when we were recruiting Statman to the podcast, it was like he's been waiting all his life for this.
I remember the first couple of podcasts. It was like a lot of printed notes and shit like that. It was good.
When animals attack.
In the dark underneath the street lamp.
That was pretty funny.
That was good. Moving on to the fourth bout, we have Michael Bisping, Ultimate Fighter Season 3 victor, against Carla Esparza, Ultimate Fighter 20 victor. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Huge respect to Carla Esparza, obviously first female strawweight champion in the UFC, likely challenge title contender against Rose Namajunas, the woman that she beat in the Ultimate Fighter finale to win that title. So we could obviously see Carla Esparza holding the title once more in the future. But Michael Bisping, for his longevity, his career, I think that he will be for a long period of time for his impact, not only in the UFC, winning the middleweight title in one of the most amazing long-term dream come true moments, but also in the way that he has affected the growth of MMA in the UK and Europe in general. I think Carla Esparza is a phenomenal fighter, but as far as her reach in this sport goes, I don't think that it will come quite close to where Michael Bisping will end up.
Now, who I'm progressing into round 2 is a little bit of a Snags reason.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to push through Carla Esparza into the round 2 for this reason alone. When I put up some research today on these two fighters, one said MMA fighter, the other one said sports presenter personality, which was Michael Bisping.
Ouch.
So I'm taking the MMA fighter since this is a round robin of MMA fighters. So Carla Esparza pushing into round 2. Thank you, Stoney.
I like it.
Oh, dear God. It's true. Carl's going to progress. Snags likes it. This is horrendous.
Love it.
What do we do in a tie break? Do we just take you or me, Statman?
I'll go to my Dungeons and Dragons bag, pull out a D20, we'll roll it, we'll go fine.
What the fuck is a D20?
I like it. That was
It's a 20-sided dice. It's a dodecahedron. It's
Wait, that's how I usually do my picks each for.
duodecahedron. I'm so sorry.
No, we've got someone who put British MMA on the map, and we've got someone who I'm actually not even sure where they're from. So that answers the question.
America, I'm pretty sure.
I'm from America.
So Mike Bisping for Stoney.
Snags.
Snags. I'm going to buddy with DL. Sparza for Snags. Get after it.
roll that dice, that man. Get your bag of tricks, son.
Are you going for the bag of tricks?
Yeah, you got to do it.
Give us a look at this thing.
Statman,
And then?
just putting a bit of an FYI, if Carla Esparza gets through ahead of Michael Bisping, I'm not continuing with his segment. So control that roll, please, buddy.
All right, what I'll do is I'll do a D4, which is a 4-sided dice.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a boring.
very
pretty.
That's boring.
I wanted the 30.
1 and 2, Michael Bisping will get through. 3 and 4, Carla Esparza will get through.
I thought you were going to say 3 or 4, knock on the door. That would have been better.
So 1 and 2 was Michael Bisping. 3 and 4
Knock on the door.
is Carla Esparza. Oh fuck! It fell off the table. I normally have a dice tray that I can roll in that keeps the dice. I'm going to keep rolling.
Just keep
All right.
rolling.
Moving on, it's Carla Esparza.
Yeah. We should have rolled it. We should have rolled the dice on everything. That would have been heaps fun.
I've got D6s here. I've got D8s. I've got D10s. I've got D12s. I've got D20.
That's how I usually do my picks.
And I can see that Stoney has immediately checked out. So we'll move on quickly to moving on to the 5th bout. We have Rashad Evans, Ultimate Fighter Season 2 victor, against the Ultimate Fighter ATT versus Black Zillions winner Kimura Usman. I don't think it can be overstated how solid the impact of Rashad Evans made. When he was on the season of the Ultimate Fighter 2 as a heavyweight, he was kind of derided for his boring, lazy style on that season of the show. He won the title. Dana White hated the man. And then he moved down to light heavyweight and started knocking people out. Started moving, I think was it Sean Salmon? He stiffened with a head kick and dropped to the ground. Absolutely amazing knockout. And he started making a run for a title, which he won undefeated from the Ultimate Fighter Season 1 champion Forrest Griffin. And it wasn't until obviously he ran into Lyoto Machida that he was finally stopped. On the other hand, you got Kimura Usman, who is making a claim for a pound-for-pound #1 title. He'd be in everyone's top 4, I'd have to say, at the very, very least, if not the top 3, top 2, or #1 spot. As far as legacy and as far as career goes, I'm honestly going to say that I feel that Kimura Usman will have a longer term legacy in this sport than Rashad Evans. I think that Usman will probably, at this rate, break GSP's record with the championship, and he might even go for Anderson Silva's record, honestly. So Kimura Usman for me.
Yeah, well, Usman hasn't lost since 2013. That is a long reign of being dominant. 2013, boys. That was a long time ago. Again, recency bias for me. Karen Usman's been one of the best that I've seen in my time following MMA.
A little bit of a Kanye West moment here, and Mara Usman, I think you're really good, but Michael Bisping should be going to the next round. Stepman, what is
This
this?
big.
Agree with everything you said, Rashard Evans. I don't have recency bias. I have historical bias. Loved everything about Rashard Evans from the get-go, and I'm sending him through to round number 2.
Snags is going to take, is it Sugar? Sugar Rashard Evans?
Sure, Rashard Evans.
Because you can't
Absolutely.
go past the Sugar Sean as well, boys. So I'm going to go Sugar Rashard just for the nickname only.
Back to the dice,
The dice
guys.
is in the second roll.
I'm gonna upgrade to a D6 now, a 6-sided dice as you normally would. 1, 2, and 3 will be Rashard Evans. 4, 5, and 6 will be Kimura Usman. We should have had Frank on speed dial that we could message
Call a
Steve
friend.
with the tiebreaker.
What is it? 4, 5, and 6 pick up sticks anyway.
That is Usman going through.
Ah, boring.
Yep, smart.
So Kimura Usman is going.
This is Statman's 2 bloody fantasies coming together at once.
Yeah, mate, honestly.
On his Dungeons and Dragons dice.
I was on the Reddit MMA board, and it was someone posed the question: what community do you feel like you're a part of that probably no one else who watches MMA is? I'm like, well, I can't imagine that there's too many.
Nah, there'd be a couple.
And there was actually a few people got back to me and replied, and it was a good fun time. Moving on to bout number 6, we've got the Ultimate Fighter Season 4 winner Matt Serra going up against the Ultimate Fighter Season 17 winner Kelvin Gastelum. One of the earliest memories I have of MMA is the unstoppable power of Georges St. Pierre, and I got into MMA pretty shortly after he won his title for the first time, and seeing this unstoppable force run into this tiny little kid from New York and finish him in the first round made me really, really interested in who Matt Serra was as a competitor, as a fighter. As a member of the Ultimate Fighter cast, he's such a watchable person as well. So when he was on that season, he was calling out people for dissing the Gracie name, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Kelvin Gastelum, I don't know if we've seen his peak. My thought is that probably the interim title fight against Israel Adesanya might be Kelvin Gastelum's career peak. And not to say that he will never win again or anything like that. I just don't think that he'll compete for a title again. Whereas Matt Serra, on the other hand, did compete for a title, won the title, knocked out Georges St. Pierre. And despite how the rematch went, despite how the later half of his career went, you can't discredit that. You can't take away the fact that he was a UFC welterweight champion after finishing the most dominant welterweight on the planet. I'm voting Matt Serra through this round.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Matt Serra. Calvin Gastelum, absolutely, we love. I think we talked about him quite strongly in the last book because we had talked about some good picks around Calvin Gastelum and his chin and his durability and everything like that. But Matt Serra is fantastic. He's funny too. Matt Serra, round 2.
He is a funny man. If Michael Bisping should be going through, then so should be anyone who's ever knocked him out. So on that basis, Calvin Gastelum on to round 2, buddy.
And Snags, where do you stand?
Boys, I can't go past him. A spinning back fist of doom, Matt Serra for Snags.
You're saying spinning back fist of doom because he keeps getting knocked out by Shoney Carter's spinning back fist?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. You just really you love Shoney Carter, and that's why you like Matt Serra.
Exactly. It's the only reason I'm picking him.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a completely justifiable reason. Thank you. Moving on to bout number 7, we have the Ultimate Fighter 13 winner Tony Ferguson going up against the Ultimate Fighter Season 14 victor John Dodson. And I actually happen to like John Dodson quite a lot. He fought for the flyweight title multiple times. He knocked out TJ Dillashaw to take the title as well of the Ultimate Fighter. But if you look at the win streak that Tony Ferguson put together leading up to his interim title fight loss to Justin Gaethje, it's a who's who. And I don't think that Tony Ferguson is necessarily... I think that fight may have changed his future prospects. But the fighter of Tony Ferguson in his prime was just such an insane combination of footwork, ground skills, and violence. Dodson has power. Dodson has ridiculous speed. Probably one of the fastest fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. But Tony Ferguson, for me, his legacy, I think, will outlive John Dodson's.
T-Ferg for me, round 2.
100%. Really dislike John Dodson. He always seems like he's a little bit too happy, and I've never really taken him seriously. But when it comes down to it, Dodson has 21 wins, Tony Ferguson has 25, and Michael Bisping has 30, stat man. Just thought I'd add that in there. So Tony Ferguson to surpass John Dodson onto round 2.
I'm going to take Tony Ferguson, boys. That's an easy one for Snags.
Nice. clean sweep. You will be happy to know, Stoney, that Carla Esparza has gone through to the next round up against Nate Diaz, so we'll see how that one plays out. My money's on Carla, actually. I think that her skills kind of stack up.
Depends how many sides your dice has.
Moving on to the last bout that we're going to be showing on this podcast, we've got Forrest Griffin, winner of the Ultimate Fighter 1, going up against the winner of the Ultimate Fighter Smashes series, Robert Whittaker. Now, this is a difficult one because obviously Forrest Griffin, if we're talking about legacy, almost the entire history of the UFC is built off this man's back. The Ultimate Fighter 1 was such a cornerstone, and his performance with Stephan Bonnar in the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale is the cause for a lot of the extreme popularity that the UFC now bears. Adding to that, UFC light heavyweight champion, adding to that Hall of Famer, and you have the makings of it. But I know I get a lot of shit on this for picking against the Aussie boys, but I can't do it in this round. I like Robert Whittaker way too damn much. He's a former UFC middleweight champion. I genuinely believe that he will at one point in the future hold that title again. I don't know if to the masses he will be as popular, as huge as Forrest Griffin is just all out there, but Robert Whittaker has the makings to have a more successful UFC career than Forrest Griffin does. So I'm going to say that by the end of their careers, Robert Whittaker's career will stack up nicely up against Forrest Griffin's. So that's why I'm pushing through Robert Whittaker in this round.
Really simple, boys. Was never going to go against the Aussie. So I'm going to push Robert Whittaker through against the Forrest Griffin OG.
100%. Rob Whittaker all day, every day. Agree with your stat, man. I think he does hold that belt again. And no matter how many times he gets punched in the ears, he'll never look as funny as Forrest Griffin. So Rob Whittaker for me.
Snags can't go against the Reaper. Robert Whittaker for Snags.
Yes, get it, boys.
Beautiful. So we'll just quickly go over the semi-final matchups. So the quarterfinal matchups that will be featured on the blog, and then obviously we'll have semi-finals and the finals matchup. We have Yair Rodriguez versus Ryan Bader, Nate Diaz versus Carla Esparza, Kamaru Usman versus Matt Serra, and Tony Ferguson versus Robert Whittaker. And there's some good matchups there and some good matches I can foresee further down the line as well. So
can't wait to read that write-up, stat man. My early money is on Nate Diaz and Bisping for fight of the night. We'll see how the viewers think.
I'm going to do an alternate edit of the article where Michael Bisping's included, and I'm just going to send it through to Stoney. It'll just be for Stoney. He can frame it. He can pop it on his wall.
Boys, that's this week on NEDS. Boys, let's jump into our picks. Statman, UFC on ESPN 30, I think we're starting with.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're starting in the bantamweight division with the Ultimate Fighter Volk versus Ortega bout between Ricky Tercius and Brady Heestand. Both Ricky Tercius and Brady Heestand come into this tough battle riding just a one-fight win streak. But this is surprisingly not all that uncommon for tough winners. In fact, Matt Serra, Nate Diaz, Colton Smith, and Jesse Taylor all won their Ultimate Fighter with their last professional bout being a loss, while Mac Danzig, Roy Nelson, and Juliana Pena actually won their seasons on the back of 2 straight losses. So not that uncommon. DL, take your spot, my friend.
I like
Let's
it.
go.
Even with Statman's stat there, Heestand is my pick for this one. Decent amateur career, only 1 loss. Decent pro career, only 1 loss. And like Statman said, they are recent drops. But loved him on the show when they did the family cross and family call. The first thing his brother asked is, has he rolled with Craig Jones yet? And they were fanboying over it. It was a really cool moment on TUF, and I actually really enjoyed that part. So not that reason why I'm taking him. He's actually been really, really good on the show, really disciplined. His fight was fantastic, and I think he'll get this done. It's going to be a really, really good battle, but I think he'll get it done.
Yeah, spot on, DL. Going to be intriguing. So I got a black belt in karate against a black belt in Taekwondo. So that's always an intriguing matchup. I'm going to go the lad who's got almost double the experience fighting our team Alpha Male. So a good crew behind him, rampaging Ricky all the way. Actually, I think he might be Ricky Hadouken. Is that his nickname?
Yeah, he does that.
Hadouken.
Yeah, little shout out to Street Fighter 2.
Snags, you'll go.
Oh, you had me at bloody Street Fighter, boys, because I'm going to go Ricky as well after that bloody delicious spiel by Stoney himself. I think he'll get the win. Done. I can't take someone that doesn't have a bloody photo on the thing. Creeps me out.
Completely fair. I'm going Brady Heastand, not necessarily because of his own performances, but Ricky Tertius was on the Dana White's Contender Series and got pieced up by Boston Salmon, who pound for pound funniest names, and Boston Salmon went on to have a UFC contract and underperformed on the big show, and Boston Salmon did a number on Ricky on the Dana White Contender Series. Obviously, both performed very, very well on the show, but I'm taking Brady Heastand. I think that he's got more of a, based on the last Neds chat we just had, more of an upside, a career upside to him. Starting younger, he's going to make some waves in the UFC. Moving on to the middleweight bout for the Ultimate Fighter, Volk versus Ortega, we have Brian Battle versus Gilbert Urbina. With Team Ortega's Trezian Gore pulling out due to injury and Volkanovski, Gilbert Urbina stepping in, all four fighters vying for contention for the Ultimate Fighter champion will be Team Volkanovski representatives. While lots of single championship seasons have had the winner and runner-up coming from the same teams, all four competitors coming from the one team has only happened twice before. Team Edgar from the Ultimate Fighter 19 and Team Canada from the Ultimate Fighter Nations, Canada versus Australia. DL.
I loved the running commentary around the TUF series at the start. The first four fights were all filmed at the first week and all were Ortega winners. Obviously, they knew what had transpired since then, and Ortega kept up that attitude around, you're nothing and your fighters are getting flogged, and then Volkanovski's team just ran all the way through them, which was really cool. It's actually cool to see four of those fighters. I am taking Brian Battle in this, but if this was the original, I would have taken Gore.
Yeah.
He is UFC ready, and I think I did read an article saying that Dana White promised him a contract.
Correct. Yeah.
Regardless, so but I'm going to take Battle on this. I think Brian Battle. I think his nickname's Pooh Bear.
Yeah, it is. With a last name like Battle.
Yeah, it could have opened the world up for things.
God of or the Lord of Battle. Come on, it just writes itself. Pooh Bear.
He'll get a UFC contract, and I think someone will help him out with his name, maybe.
Now, Gilbert, I think he's got a bit of a questionable chin. Even in his last one, he seemed to get a bit wobbled by a jab. I think Ryan Battle's going to bring a lot more volume, be a lot more technical, and if it does go to the ground, he's got a few sub-wins as well. So I'm going to take Brian, Lord of the Battle, for this one.
Lord of the Battle, I like that.
Okay, I'm going to go Battle of the Poos, boys. I'm going to go Brian Battle. Triple B, as I like to call him. And, wait, no, that's a P, not a B. BPB, as I like to call him. Brian Battle.
BPBB.
Yep, that's it. BPB, BB, pew, pew. Brian Battle for Snags.
I'm the exact same as DL. Trezian Gore was probably the fighter I was most excited for coming out of this series, and for him to pull out of the finale due to injury is really, really upsetting. Very, very excited to see him very young competitor, 3-0, heading into the UFC. Hopefully gets a experience appropriate opponent so they can build him nicely. But with this, and Stoney hit the nail on the head, Urbina's chin, probably the biggest question mark heading into this bout. Did just get knocked out by Trezian Gore as well. I see Brian Battle taking this without too much fuss. BB across the board.
BBB.
Heading into the UFC on ESPN 30 main event, we have a featherweight bout between Edson Barboza and Giga Chikadze. Edson Barboza has had a bit of a rough run with the judges recently. Following his KO loss to Justin Gaethje, Barboza took on and seemingly defeated a game Paul Felder. The judges would award the decision to Felder. My favourite website, MMA Decisions, had it going 13-5 for Barboza, and then dropped down to featherweight. Barboza fought Dan Ige and once more impressed. However, the judges once more saw the fight differently and had awarded the fight to Ige. In this one, 16 of the 18 media representatives scored the fight for Barboza. Based on purported contracts, Barboza allegedly is on a 90 and 90 contract, meaning that these two judging decisions cost Barboza $180,000 in under 12 months.
Damn.
And I wonder if some fighters should start to push for a bigger slice of the show money rather than getting I can't imagine fighting where 50% of my pay is potentially at the behest of three judges who may or not be watching my fight very closely. Split decisions and robbery should piss off literally everyone, and that's my piece on that. DL, your pick for this fight.
What I learned from last episode was Statman said to the listeners, always take the Georgian. Did you say that?
Georgian.
Always take the Georgian. I think we need to finish on this one too. So
We do. We absolutely do.
Taking the Georgian. I'm taking him round 3 and I'm taking it by TKO, boys.
Yeah, it's really the battle of the kicks. So I think we've got, we've got Giga, who's got a very good body kick. We've got Edson, who has probably the advantage, or not probably, the definitive advantage with the leg kicks, and has some sneaky highlight reel head kicks as well. His record doesn't look good, going 5-1 over a period, but you look at the guys he went down to, Khabib, Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje, Paul Felder, Dan Ige, all really good fighters. And then you factor in what Statman said again, that a couple of them were dubious split decisions. And in the meantime, got a win over Dan Hooker. Things aren't looking as bad as what the record might suggest for Edson Barboza. So whilst I think the Georgian is going to rely a lot on pressure, DL. He sees that Edson doesn't like it when fighters come forward and close the space. So I think we're going to see a lot of pressure in that respect. But I am predicting that Edson Barboza gets it done with a decision that goes his way.
Look, I'm going to go Edson Barboza because I just don't want to try to pronounce the other guy's name because it seems really...
Chikadze?
Chikadze.
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 Giga Chikadze.
Giga Chikadze. Actually, I'm going to go Chikadze because it makes me feel good when I say it. I'm going to go in by decision, boys.
We've hit the nail on the head with the predictions so far. I think Edson Barboza. This is either going to be like an Edson Barboza versus Dan Hooker straight up kickboxing clinic from Edson Barboza, or it is going to be similar to Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje, where the pressure was far too much. I went on a highlight reel watch of Chikadze this afternoon, and the man is everything that Edson Barboza was 5-6 years ago. His liver kick, the Giga kick, is terrifying. He's shut down so many fighters in professional kickboxing bouts. As many fighters as Edson Barboza has stopped with leg kicks, Chikadze has stopped with liver kicks. It's absolutely brutal as well. I think if there's anyone who can match Edson Barboza's speed and power when it comes to kick, it's Giga Chikadze. And this fight is the pure stand-up banger that we have all desperately wanted. I'm taking Giga Chikadze. This is going to be the closest thing to a glory kickboxing bout held inside a UFC octagon that we've ever had before. I'm taking Giga Chikadze by second round KO. Edson Barboza's chin is not necessarily the strongest material in the world. He can normally rely on his speed and his movement to get out of the way of those power punches, but Chikadze has the speed and the power to hit. So Chikadze by round 2 KO for me. And then we look ahead to UFC on ESPN Plus 49. We're just going to have a look at the main event for this one, which is a middleweight contenders bout between Derek Brunson and Darren Till. When Derek Brunson made his UFC debut, he was 10-2, and he made it December of 2012, before Darren Till had even had his very first pro fight. Till would debut in February of 2013, and by the end of that year, had already amassed a record of 8-0 with 7 finishes.
Really simple one for me, boys. Darren Till is due. TKO round 2.
Oh, look out.
Yeah, look, Derek Brunson, he's surprisingly on a bit of a streak, which he always strikes me as being someone who wins one and loses one, but that's not the case. He's 4 or 5 in a row, which is boding well for Derek Brunson. Surely Darren Till, if he's anything like we thought he was going to be, he gets this one done. The question is, did we just all supremely overrate Darren Till? Coming in to the UFC, Dana White's admitted that they probably pushed him a little too fast and gave him people that they thought he would stand up better against. Inevitably, he did not. Masvidal being a big one that stands out. Oh, Jesus. Look, boys, I am going to go with Darren Till, but very, very tentatively here. I would not be surprised if Derek Brunson grinds out a decision, but I'm going to hope that the Scouser, Darren Till, comes through with the victory in this one. And I'm going to go around 2 TKO as well.
Oh, look out. Snag's going to go a little bit different. I'm going to go still Darren Till, but I'm going to go round 3 TKO. And then I'll have you talk shit to him after he beats him.
You mentioned the Scouser, Stoney. We should shout out that this is the card that our boy Paddy Pimblett will be making his UFC debut on as well. Oh, yeah. I predict Paddy Pimblett to take that fight.
We're not predicting Paddy Pimblett.
No, I reckon Paddy Pimblett will take that fight.
I'm looking at DL in disbelief that we've omitted the great man from our...
Oh.
Yeah, agree.
Comes on the podcast when...
Paddy Pimblett for Snags.
But...
TKO round 1.
Here's the rub. I do genuinely believe that he will be the only Scouser who gets a win. And to answer Stoney's question, did we overestimate Darren Till's ability? I do think we did. I think that Darren Till is a talented kickboxer. I think that he is a talented MMA competitor. But upper echelons of the welterweight or middleweight division, I just don't see it. And I just don't see it from his performances since his Tyron Woodley destruction. I just don't see him as a upper class UFC competitor. I love the man. I love his work on the mic. I think Derek Brunson is probably capped out at like a number 5 in the middleweight division, number 5 through 8. But I think that should be more than enough to handle Darren Till. I'm taking Derek Brunson by decision in this one. I want to be proved wrong. This is one of those ones where I'm kind of hedging my bets. I want to be proved wrong. I like Darren Till as a competitor. So if Darren Till gets up, I'm not going to be too sad that I lost a pick in this one.
It's you every time pick something. I can't believe we're not picking Paddy Pimblett for.
Do you know what? I've just had a look at the card. It's actually a decent card too.
Yeah,
it is. There's a bunch of good shit on there.
Apologies,
let's get another one.
We'll give Paddy some love on the social.
Absolutely, we ought to.
We won't. Sorry, but we're mentioning him anyway. So Paddy Pimblett for me.
TKO round 1.
Paddy, round the room. Paddy Pimblett for me.
Paddy Pimblett for me.
I really like Paddy Pimblett, but
you're going to Luigi Vanderanmanini.
He's been kicked off all these socials, Paddy. What's going on there?
I don't know what's
Too
going
outspoken
on
for the woke people of today.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Let's go, Paddy.
All right, boys. Let's jump into Punters Club to finish off the podcast. All right, boys. 4 legs. Let's get some winners today. Our boys haven't had a win for a little while.
We have not.
It is time for some wins, boys. So what I might do, I might kick it off. Now, no more $10 investors. All the cash is on the podcast move. We're going to start spending some of the pot. So it's probably a smart idea. See if we can get a bit of a return. I think that's our problem. We're not reinvesting.
You reckon? I just think we're not winning.
Well, that's true. It's either one or the other.
Could be one or the other, yeah.
One or the other. All right. So, and I'm going to go Statman's route here too. I'm going to go back to our roots. I'm actually going to take one of the fights that we talked about today. I'm going to take Brian Battle at $1.60, boys. Lock me in. Leg 2, Statman.
Perfect. So I'm also heading to the UFC, as is my gem. I'm going to go...
As is your gem. You haven't picked a winner in a fucking decade.
No, my UFC picks normally get up. How dare you? How dare you?
Jay Sherman didn't.
I'll slap you.
You're my cornerman.
Mate, have you seen Clay Guida fight? He gets slapped by his cornerman all the time. I've got a short odds and I've got a long odds, boys. How are we feeling?
I reckon
both.
So I don't know. Who is it?
I can take Sam Alvey over Wellington Turman at $2.26, or I could take Mahmoud Muradov at $1.20 over Gerald Michat.
Both sound like great bets to me.
Mahmoud Muradov.
So you're going to take a $4. Jared Michat's $4.20.
Yeah, Mahmoud Muradov is 1 billion% getting up. So,
who's 1 billion? The $4 man.
No, Mahmoud Muradov at $1.20. Yeah. He's going to get up. Over Gerald Mearshot. But Sam Alvey, man, I just don't like betting on him because he ekes out. He's a split decision fighter. He ekes out close fights.
There's your
But
fucking answer then.
he's paying $2.26 against Wellington Turman, who is not a good fighter.
Mate,
Tell us what you really think.
Am I too nice, Snags, or am I
No,
too?
that was
am I
bloody
too?
going deep. That was good. I liked it.
Jesus. I'm going to go Mahmoud Muradov. We need a win. I'm going to take him Mahmoud Muradov at $1.20.
All right, cool.
No, very, very astute selection. Well done, Stats. Look, I'm going to the world of EPL. Man City will beat Arsenal because Arsenal are just horrendous and shouldn't even be considered a top 6 team these days, DL. So Man City, only $1.22, I believe, but that is just easy money topping up our account. And Statman and Snags will do all the heavy lifting to get the value up, and I'll just put that one in as the
Statman
icing
picked
on the cake.
$1.20.
Man City's $1.25. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going the sure thing.
Okay, cool. Statman's
What
got
are
the
we
short
at?
thing as well. Not much.
Do the boys need a bit of flavour, do they?
Hang on.
If we do need flavour, let's go back to Statman because
No
Sam
flavor.
Alvey's a good pick.
Just to give you some insights of how multi is currently at $2.48.
You guys are shit.
Get rid of Mahmoud Muradov. Chuck in Sam Alvey.
No, it's
Chuck in
locked
Sam
in.
Alvey.
No, it's locked
Do it.
in.
Watch Snags coming with like an $11 roughie.
I reckon he needs to go to NRL. I think he needs to deliver something.
Oh, I'm going to go where I do my best work. You know that. That's for sure. Okay, boys.
Oh, the
you
rabbits
need
are so short. Are you not going to
Nah,
go
nah.
rabbits?
I've got a doozy for us.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a team that has not had the best season so far, but last week had a great week, got another victory. The MILF was back onto his game. Boys, I'm going to take the Broncos.
They've had a pretty rough run so far this season.
No, they won last week, so it's not rough in my books. You can only count them on their last win, Statman. 1-12, I'm going to take them. I think it's paying...
Ooh, $3.75. All right, boys, I'll put it on 1-12, $3.75. In the Neds app, what I'm going to do is going to price boost it as well. I'm going to get us $10.21.
No, not too
Let's
bad.
go.
So returning $102.10, boys. That is on. And remember, please gamble responsibly.
I feel
Did
like
you stick with Mahmoud or did you change it to Sam Alvey?
Nah, Markman.
Sweet, good.
I feel nervous now.
Yeah, the Broncos. That's an interesting one.
Go the Bronx.
Let's
Yeah, let's
do
go.
it. Oh, let's do
Yeah,
it.
boys.
All right, boys, that rounds out episode 57. If you like what we're doing, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. Boys, if you haven't already, check out runitbackpodcast.store. You can check out our blogs there and also jump onto neds.com.au to check it out as well. That's us for episode 57, boys. I'm producer DL.
I am Sugar Snags.
I'm the Statman.
My name is Stoney.
And we'll run it back with you all on the next Run It Back podcast. Oh, the lasers are back.
Morse code.
So stoked that we got the rights to the Pink Panther music.
That was.
Boys, I'm just trying to bloody save the bloody no lawsuit over here. Jesus Christ.
I don't load them up into YouTube anymore.
What episode are we up to now?
57.
After YouTube cut us off halfway through the fucking live stream we were doing it.